To this now, torrential rains have battered the Eastern Cape, triggering devastating floods that have claimed lives, displaced thousands, and left a trail of destruction in their wake. And as the province struggles to cope with the aftermath, we turn to experts for insight into the weather patterns that led to the disaster. Ntombozuko Balintulo has more. Ntombozuko, a very good afternoon to you. So what are experts saying? Is this normal during this time of the year?
Hello, Alicia. We're going to speak to the expert who's actually going to tell us more of what is happening. And we know that currently in the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality, we have lost 8 people because of the floods. But right now, I am currently at the South African Weather Services in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. And I've got our weather forecaster, Ayabonga Chungwan, who's going to be explaining weather in terms of the warnings, because it seems like we are going to be expecting a bit of rain, and that's coming in today midnight and also maybe sometime tomorrow morning. But right now, thank you, Ayabonga, for joining us. I quickly want to find out from you in terms of the floods that have been happening. Was there a warning? I know there's a warning, probably there was a warning, but also with us, we sometimes don't pay attention to that. And also with the floods that are happening, do you think it might be also the drainage system and in some areas of the Eastern Cape?
Good afternoon, everyone. Regarding to your question of the warning, we did issue the warning of the possibility of heavy rain, and also although we did issue the level 2 of possible flooding, more special of the area of Nelson Mandela Bay. So I will confirm with him. There was I think there was a possibility. There was poor drainage systems that occurred in the places, but the rain it also came. It was more than what we expected.
And also, I'm sure there might be some patterns that you guys have seen when it comes to the floods. Were there any patterns that as the South African Weather Service that you guys have seen?
Yes, we did expect a system that called cut-off low that was associated with reaching in high pressure systems. So those two systems, they usually cause more rain over the province. Those are the pattern that we expected, and also some strong winds in places and cold conditions that we expected over the interior. So usually the cut-off low and the reaching in high pressure system, they usually come the patterns that cause more rain and also cold conditions with the snow in places.
Also with the Eastern Cape, I really don't know if we hardly get floods. Do you think it's a new thing that's currently happening with the Eastern Cape, just getting floods and causing so much damage?
It's not a new thing. Floods are usually occurred over the Eastern Cape, but most of the time the floods usually occurred, since I will say Eastern Cape is most scattered. Okay. So sometimes the floods occurred in an area where there's no one staying there, but now often they are occurring where the people stay. That's where, like now, we can see what they are occurring often, but it's not like they are not occurring often. They do occur often, but some places in an empty space where there's no one affected.
And lastly, Ayabonga, I just want to know, with in this case where you say there were signs of heavy rain, what do you encourage people to do in this instance, in terms of just trying to protect themselves, because we know that there's so much damage that the floods have caused?
What we usually do, we do issue warning, but most of the people they ignore our warnings. But they just checked out what was already happened. Then they checked out there was a warning. But I will say people, if they can check the warning, which areas that will be affected, then they can take necessary precautions, like because we do work with disaster management of the Eastern Cape. Then all of those warnings, they go there. So if someone is having a problem with the house and all, it doesn't have an area to stay, you can communicate with disaster management, because if we issue the warning for that particular area, the disaster management is aware that like there is something that might happen there. Then if you go there and talk with disaster management as early as possible, then they will help you so that reducing the damages.
Just to make sure, lastly, so you are saying that in the next 2 days, which is midnight and maybe tomorrow morning, we will be expecting just a bit of rain?
Yes, we're still expecting some rain, I would say, across the province for tomorrow, from overnight into tomorrow, where we're still expecting some cold conditions across the province, and also some possible snow in the high-lying areas of the Eastern Cape, and some 60% chance along the coast of the Eastern Cape. We're still expecting some rain up to Saturday morning. After Saturday morning, then we're expecting a clearance.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Ayabonga Chungwane, who is a South African weather forecaster, who was just telling us briefly that there is some rain that will be a bit of rain that is expected midnight and also tomorrow morning and also Saturday. He says there will be clear skies maybe after Sunday, and also indicating that a lot of times when it comes to some alerts, when it comes to the weather, a lot of us don't really pay attention to such things, and also just encouraging that if you are in a situation where you're not sure of what's really going on, they are working with disaster management to make sure that people are accommodated when it comes to such weathers.